My name is Elizabeth Carrington. By the standards of most, I lead a charmed life. I reside in a sprawling estate on the outskirts of Greenwich, Connecticut, a mansion that boasts more rooms than I can count, and a garden that rivals those found in European palaces. My husband, Jonathan, is a titan in the world of finance, a man who exudes confidence and commands respect. Our life is the epitome of opulence, extravagant parties, high-profile charity events, and vacations to the most exclusive destinations. But beneath this veneer of perfection lies a chasm of loneliness and yearning that even our millions cannot fill. Jonathan's ambition and drive, qualities that initially drew me to him, have since transformed into an all-consuming obsession with his work. Our marriage, once passionate and tender, has become a cold, sterile partnership. I am a mere ornament in his world, a trophy wife meant to be admired but not heard. It was during one of those long, languid summer afternoons that I first noticed him, Marco, the new gardener. Tall, with sun-kissed skin and a physique sculpted by years of hard labor, he was a striking contrast to the men in my social circle. There was an air of quiet strength about him, a sense of groundedness that I found intoxicating. As he worked, his shirt clinging to his muscular frame, I felt a stirring deep within me, a reawakening of desires long suppressed. I would watch him from the terrace, pretending to read a book while stealing glances at his lithe form moving effortlessly through the garden. His presence became a tantalizing escape from my gilded cage, a reminder of a world beyond the confines of my privileged existence. Our first encounter was almost mundane. I was wandering through the garden, admiring the vibrant blooms and meticulously manicured hedges, when I found him kneeling by a bed of roses, his hands deftly pruning the delicate flowers. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Carrington," he said, looking up with a warm smile. "Please call me Elizabeth," I replied, my voice betraying a hint of nervousness. "You must be Marco. The garden looks magnificent." "Thank you, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to work here. Your garden is truly beautiful." There was a moment of silence as we both took in the sight of the roses, their petals of vivid crimson against the verdant backdrop. "Roses are my favorite," I said, almost to myself. "They're so delicate yet resilient." "Like you," he said softly, his eyes meeting mine. There was something in his gaze, an intensity that made my heart race. I quickly looked away, feeling a blush creep up my neck. "I should let you get back to work," I said, turning to leave. "Anytime you want to talk about the garden, I'm here," he called after me, his voice laced with an unspoken promise. Over the next few weeks, our interactions became more frequent. I found excuses to be in the garden, asking him questions about the plants, the soil, and the best times for pruning. He was always patient, his explanations detailed and passionate. But it was the way he looked at me, the way his eyes lingered on mine, that made my pulse quicken. One afternoon, as I stood by the fountain watching the sunlight dance on the water, he approached me with a single rose in his hand. "For you," he said, holding it out. I took the flower, our fingers brushing against each other. The contact sent a jolt through me, a spark that ignited something deep within. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Elizabeth," he said, his voice low and earnest, "I know this is unprofessional, but I can't stop thinking about you. You're always on my mind." My breath caught in my throat. "Marco, we can't. I'm married." "I know," he said, stepping closer, "but I see the way you look at me. I feel it too." His words hung in the air, heavy with temptation and possibility. I knew I should walk away and end this before it went any further, but the yearning in his eyes mirrored my own, and I found myself unable to resist. The next thing I knew, we were in his little room, his arms all over me, showing me that he'd been yearning for me for a very long time. He knew exactly where to place his hands, where to kiss, and every moment with him was just amazing. We became adept at hiding our affair, our stolen moments woven into the fabric of my daily routine. In the early mornings, before the household stirred, we would meet in the greenhouse, the humid air thick with the scent of blooming orchids. There, amidst the vibrant flora, we would lose ourselves in each other, our passion a fierce, consuming force. By day, we maintained the facade of employer and employee. To the outside world, we were nothing more than two people who shared a love for the garden. But in the quiet corners of my estate, we were lovers, bound by a secret that both thrilled and terrified us. One evening, As the sun set in a blaze of orange and pink, Marco led me to a secluded grove, a hidden sanctuary within the garden. A blanket was spread out on the grass, a picnic laid out with wine and cheese. "I wanted to do something special for you," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's beautiful," I said, touched by his thoughtfulness. We sat down, the world beyond our little haven fading away as we sipped wine and talked about our dreams and fears. I felt a sense of connection I hadn't experienced in years. Marco listened to me, truly listened, his attention unwavering. "Elizabeth," he said, taking my hand in his, "I want to be with you, not just in secret but truly with you." "Marco, I want that too, but it's complicated. Jonathan, he'll never let me go." "Then we'll find a way," he said fiercely. "I can't stand the thought of you being unhappy. We'll figure it out together." Together. His determination was infectious, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of this gilded cage. As our affair deepened, so did the danger of discovery. Jonathan was a man who prided himself on his control and dominance, and the idea of his wife having an affair was unthinkable. He was often away on business trips, but his presence loomed large, a constant reminder of the life I was trapped in. One evening, as I was preparing for bed, Jonathan walked in, his expression unreadable. "Elizabeth, we need to talk," he said, his tone serious. "What is it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've noticed you've been spending a lot of time in the garden lately. Is there something you're not telling me?" My heart raced. Had he found out? "I've always loved the garden, Jonathan. It's my sanctuary." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Just be careful, Elizabeth. Some people would love to see us fail."